They look to be a lovely bunch of horses. I probably got them in a little bit later than I got them in last year, and they've come to hand relatively quickly. In saying that, the first sort of few runners have just needed the run a little bit. So they'll definitely improve for that. But hopefully, as the season goes on, that'll be less likely to be the case.
The star of the show, just behind us here, Crackaway Jack.
He is the star of the show. He's just come back in. He had a scan done on his tendons probably 2 weeks ago now, 3, maybe a little bit more, and they looked perfect. So accordingly, he's back in, and fingers crossed, we can start from where we left off. He won't be out until January at the earliest, I'd say. Okay. But legs feel great, and hopefully all will go back to plan for him. It's always going to be a bit tricky for him now in that he's not going to be a novice company. He's having won one, but hasn't had a huge amount of experience. But he's very talented, and I think you just wonder whether that had maybe been brewing, and when he ran, it just kind of came to light. But he's a lovely horse, and hopefully he'll be back. In a fast run race, he's a 2-miler, and in a slowly run race, he's probably 2.5. So I think, depending on what the race is, will slightly depend on what the trip finishes up being.
One I know, when I came down last year, you were extremely sweet on, Caught in Motion.
Oh, love him. Absolutely love him to bits. He's a big, scopy horse. He covers loads of ground. He had a nice run in his bumper when he finished third at Newbury. We then ran him at Exeter. He was cantering, jumps the last, and just trips over his own feet, the big plonker. So fortunately, he was fine. We sent him to Warwick, where he just ran a little bit keen and just got beaten by Peveril. And at that point, we just thought, half the season was gone. I think he's a seriously nice horse for the future, and I didn't want to go and lose his novice status. So we put him away. He's not far off being ready to run now, and I'd be very, very hopeful that he could make a big impact in staying novice hurdles this season. The one thing that we probably need to learn is whether he's going to be running in the 2-mile 5 or the 3-mile. Okay. But that's where we're looking at. That's what I'm trying to get him towards, and we'll sort of get his first run out the way and then work backwards from there. He's a gorgeous horse. You see him up there. He's the most beautiful mover. He's a very attractive horse. He had one run in a Irish point-to-point last year and finished second. Yeah. I know that Pat Doyle that had him was gutted that he hadn't won because he'd shown so much to him. But he did just make a little bit of a noise, and he had his wind done, and touch wood, he sounds fantastic up there now. He wouldn't want it too soft. He's a horse that probably is just sort of winter good to soft ground, but probably no softer than that. But he jumps brilliantly, and I think he's lovely. I don't know what went wrong with him last year. He was so impressive first time out at Utoxeter and again at Cheltenham. Ground is massively significant to him, so he has to have top of the ground. So we finished up then with it either being too wet for him or just generally frozen. Probably would have suited him, but no one else was going to go there for it. And he then, we ran him at Cheltenham, and although the 2 miles there was a bit quick, we went with high hopes to air, but he was too fresh, just ran into the first and fell, sent him to Punchestown, and for some reason, having jumped the fence well, he crumpled on landing halfway through when still travelling really well. And then falling, went and cracked a bone in his sort of fetlock behind. It's been screwed, it's good, he's back in, but he won't come out until the spring now. He's 100% sound, but we'll just give him a bit longer and get him back out again.
Fontana won a bumper last year.
He has many claims to fame, Fontana. Probably the first is that he was the horse that broke Barry's leg for the 6th time last year. He's a beautiful horse. He was just, there's no malice in him. He's a kind of tense, frightened horse, and he was difficult to get on, and then once you were on him, he was fine, but then difficult to get off again, so you were kind of stuck there. He's a smart horse. We've schooled him, he'll go hurdling, and I think he should be a nice horse for the future.
I might call him a Cheltenham specialist, paws and claws.
Yeah, if you're going to have a specialist somewhere, having it at Cheltenham is quite a handy place to be. He's been an absolute superstar for us as well. I mean, We bought him at the Cheltenham sales, so obviously that must be where his love of Cheltenham has come from. But he was not an expensive horse to buy, and he won his bumper. He won a nice novice hurdle, and we went to Cheltenham for the Coral Cup, where he finished third and ran brilliantly. We then went, and again, he was kind of one of those horses that you thought maybe last season was going to be tricky for him, being quite high in the ratings, and where were you going to go? And in fairness, it kind of was a little bit hit and miss at times, trying to get his trip right and all the rest of it. But I think he might just be a bit of a spring horse as well as loving Cheltenham. He ran a fantastic race, obviously to win the Martin Pipe. But I think that chasing is ultimately, I'd like to think is where his future lies. And it would be nice on the back of his first run to be thinking that it might be the juice, and if he keeps getting better, maybe it would be something else. But again, we kind of certainly after his next run, we'll be looking at March and working backwards. She's been unbelievably good for us. She's easy to spot with her big white face and big white legs. She ran some super races last season. She's going to go novice chasing this season with a view of trying to win the mares final at Newbury. She always jumped really well. She was in springs with her feet. So I just think she's entitled to have a crack at doing chasing, and then she'll go off to stud at the end of the season.
The first of your two summer national winners, Fire and Rain, not been seen for a while.
He picked up an injury after running at Fosslas last season. So he's been out of action now for probably the last it must be about 14 months. He will be coming back to us so long as the scans are good in the next probably month, with a view to getting him out realistically in the spring.
The second of your summer national winners, Uzbek.
Oh, what a star he's been. He was a star for Alan King before me, and he's been a star for me as well, winning at Cheltenham in April and then coming out and winning the Summer National. The plan with him would be to go to Cheltenham for the October meeting, and then it may be that he then has a bit of a winter holiday. He's asking for Barbados, but I think it's probably going to be somewhere near Marlborough, and he'll have a little holiday and then come back for the spring. His main target will be the Scottish National. For the year. So that's kind of where we're heading with him.
Not tempted by injury at all?
I just don't think he's a national horse, a Grand National horse. I think he's lightning quick over his fences, and I'm just not sure whether those fences will necessarily suit his kind of style of jumping. It's something we'll discuss, but I think realistically it's a less likely target than a likely one.
New owners to the yard, Highclere. They've got Penny Max with you this year.
Really exciting, really pleased to have them as owners, and hopefully we'll run as well as the flat horses have all season.
Hopefully,
that would be exciting. But he's a nice horse, a Flemonsforth horse. He finished second in his point-to-point. He just got beaten. There were three horses upsides, one of whom was one that fell. Nicky Henderson bought that, and that bolted up in a bumper through the summer. So I think the form is probably pretty strong. He's a very active, nice type of horse. His work so far has been great, and I'd be imagining that he'll be out at the end of October in a bumper.
And with a smashing team of almost 70 around you, it's hard to ask you to pick one, but if I had to press you for a trainer's pick for the season, what would that be?
Oh God, one I'm not going to put the mockers on. I mean, I suppose at this stage I'd probably say Caught in Motion.
Yeah.
I think there's something very special about him. So hopefully he'll show that to everybody, not just me.